Hey, we are back. Welcome.
Yes, we are back, and you can see the trackers on the screen there just to provide a brief summary of what we were not able to see. These runners made their way through the castle. They found a bow in the back of the castle, and then they both made their way to the Lost Woods Kakariko area. Found their flippers, found their hookshot, found their glove, found a little bit of extra stuff along the way, Burna, net, so on. Then they both went to Eastern Palace. Then they both cleared it out, got nothing but magic powder in the dungeon itself. And as you saw on Nep's screen there just a second ago, Moon Pearl in Sahasrala's hut. And that brings us to where we are now. So welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, so we are back, and Nep, she's heading into Mini Moldorm Cave, while Revenant heading over to the dam. So we gotta look at a couple different things here. Thanks for your patience, everyone. And 10 arrows, a heart, bombs, bombos, that could be useful, and just another piece of heart there. Meanwhile, nothing much in the dam for Revenant. Revenant's gonna head over to take a look at what's in Mini Moldorm for himself.
I'm a little bit surprised here. Normally, when I see runners go to Mini Moldorm Cave before the dam, it's because they want to go to the dam second and then Agina afterwards, skip Ice Rock Cave. But here for Nep, we're seeing Mini Moldorm Cave directly to Ice Rock Cave, no dam. Maybe trying to loop that in with Agina later and just not skip anything at all. Unfortunately, Ice Rock. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Ice Rock Cave not paying off yet. So maybe owing to Desert being a pendant as well, and kind of trying to just not go to that area if you don't have to.
Possibly, yeah. I will say I do like the water walk from Netpier. We do have the flippers, which means it's not at all necessary. But you can see just dashing along the water so much faster than trying to swim through it.
Yeah, it's way quicker to get over here to the man under the bridge. Your water rock does break when you go over shallows, so can't take it all the way to the waterfall cave. Just 5 rupees there. We saw 150 rupees. We see a lamp on Zora Ledge. 150 rupees in Waterfall Cave, so we'll get to buy off this fish and find out what Scam has got for us today.
Yep. Here comes the king. And it's nothing. That lamp, though, does give us access to Death Mountain, logically, with that glove. And then the hookshot means that there's a lot of items we can get up there.
Yeah, gonna be able to get everything on the east side. We'll have to leave Tower of Hera alone for right now, unless we find a mirror or a hammer up there. But I can't imagine it going anywhere else but up the mountain at this point.
Yeah, and really there aren't any other good dense regions left. Like there's Agina's Cave, and that's really about it at this point. We've seen Eastern, seen Cac, seen the South Shore, and the items we have don't actually open up that much.
No,
So I'm expecting to see Hammer on the mountain to send us off to the Dark World, and that'll let us get to Hera as well. Revenant's doing the Lumberjack. Nep checked this at the very start after coming out of the castle and saw that it was
blue mail. It's a mail upgrade, yeah.
Yeah, you're not killing Aghanim for that, though.
Absolutely not. Yeah, so after that check, Remnant's going to head up the mountain. Nep, she's going to get her lamp and follow him up, I presume. The one other thing is it does leave a little density in that corner of the world, especially if you can, like, do those checks back and forth when you get a mirror and Dark World access on Nep's side.
Yes, because Nep left the dam behind entirely here. So that is a little bit of density. Could, if we find a mirror, route that in with something like Hype Cave, and then take it to Agina after that, or just continue the Dark World loop up towards the Village of Outcasts.
Well, with what we got at this point, if we do get Dark World access in that mirror, that'll be a Swamp Palace play. We don't know if it's a crystal or not yet, but just missing that hammer for Swamp.
Oh yeah, being able to loop the dam check in with Swamp Palace itself is always kind of the dream. But that book opens up Desert Palace. We can full clear that dungeon too with the fire source and the boots and the sword for a weapon.
Yeah, we do have everything we need to beat Desert Palace. Probably not a location either our runners want to head to straight away. We're going to clear out the rest of this Death Mountain area first. But we'll also get a look, potentially, if we do get access over to Hera via Mirror or Hammer, we'll get a look at the the Ether tablet up here.
Yep. Can't get the item off of that without having two swords, but you can certainly read it without that. Just gotta have the book there. But yeah, there's no reason to leave the density of the mountain yet just because we found that book. Just potentially afterwards, depending on what else we find up here.
7 looks here in Paradox K. We'll start with 2 in the front.
Yeah, the lower section, midsection, whatever you want to call it. There's the Dark World access. There's the sword.
Dark World care package right there.
And I guess differing setups on the Spectacle Rock bomb jump from Nep and Revenant there. Revenant kind of backed up and placed the bomb in a precise spot, while Nep just pulled it out and never actually dropped it. Always fun to see little subtle differences like that.
Yeah, and Death Mountain continues to be loaded with a fire rod sitting in the top side of Spectacle, or not Spectacle, Paradox Cave. So 3 progression items here in Paradox Cave. That second sword, hammer, and fire rod.
Always nice to have a fire rod. It's a very, very effective weapon, even on a single magic bar. And we just saw a baby shield up there on the floating island. That's another thing these runners not gonna go back for, you have to imagine.
Absolutely not. If you end up getting a shield in a chest, you're like, sure, whatever. But I don't think any runner at this level is ever going to go out of their way to go grab a shield. As we find our other mail upgrade sitting on that ether tablet.
Yeah, so that's even less reason to go kill Aghanim, especially because we have the Dark World access. That means that there's no logical reason to go do so.
Yep. Into Tower Hera, this is a crystal. This will be our second crystal for both our runners. Small key in the front.
Probably going to see Hera pot here with the hookshot in hand, regardless of what's in this lobby chest.
It's an item that incentivizes things even further. I know people that would grab the big key if it was potentially grab the big key if it was a compass or a map in that second chest, but with one item found already, no way you're gonna not take the shortcut.
Yeah, I can see it if you know that there's still 2 items to find. The likelihood of one of them being in the big chest is rather high. But in this case, not punished at all.
And Nep is going to need to get this pulled off without accidentally hitting one of these Dodongos. We'll get in there. We'll be able to pick up a fairy. She will down here in the basement.
Yep, and on her current heart total, that will be a full refill. Meanwhile, Revenant up in the Moldorm fight. 3 hammer hits. Dead Moldorm. We know this isn't an item. So, gonna be off to probably somewhere in the Dark World. I'm not sure if he's gonna start at the village or at Hype Cave. Either one, very reasonable choices.
And meanwhile, Sailor Up trying to skip past that bumper. She is... it was either a little too far down or got caught by the beetle and got knocked off into the pit. We'll have to climb back up. Losing a few seconds of time here, but still very, very close between these 2 runners.
Our Dark World map check gives us Thieves Town and Misery Mire as our pendants. And I believe that was Palace of Darkness and Ice Palace is the 5-6 crystals.
I believe that is correct. Doing a Spike Cave check before we head into the Dark World proper for Revenant. This is really smart. You're never going to want to come back up here again.
Actually, I did get ahead of myself earlier. Doing Spike Cave here completely isolates Spiral Cave until he comes back for the Dark World checks.
That's one you can loop in when you're cleaning up the Dark World, though. You're doing your Hookshot Cave and your Super Bunny. You can just mirror over. You know you're going to find a mirror at some point, unless the mirror is specifically exactly at Spiral Cave.
Yeah, that would be the concern here. But really, this is just a somewhat nasty setup that says go to Spiral Cave or go to Spike Cave. Leave the other one behind. Luckily for us as viewers, Nep is choosing Spiral Cave here. So we'll get to see both.
Yeah, meanwhile, Revenant heading over and choosing the Hype Cave start. Makes a lot of sense with Palace of Darkness being a crystal and having everything you need for it. Getting a bee in a bottle. Some firewood. Barely spending cash. And some actual spending cash, but no value in Hype Cave today.
But let's see if he loops this off to the west towards Stumpy the Dig Game or north towards Pyramid and Pod. Okay, so he's choosing Pyramid, Pod, maybe even Catfish up in there. And honestly, I like this. Just because it's easier to loop in the other checks relatively efficiently from the Village of Outcasts. We're getting to this side, you're kind of walking right by Hype Cave again when you've already done it.
Yep. The one downside of this is it does isolate. We find Samari on the pyramid. That's a good find. It does isolate Catfish a little bit because you're going to head over and do Palace of Darkness and clear that out. Hoping to, if you have to check Catfish, to check it when you have a mirror and do things like Graveyard Legend, King's Tomb along with it. We did talk about it. Sailor Nep, she found a shovel in Spiral Cave, so we don't know if that's going to be of any value or not for right now.
Nope, it's just something I said earlier we'd know the results of both checks, but we don't know the end result of that Spiral Cave check until Nep checks that shovel, unfortunately. It's just something, though, in her back pocket. If it turns out good, then who knows when Revenant's going to get there.
It looks like Sailor Nep, she skipped the pyramid, so not going to be picking up that Samaria right now. That could be a very dangerous location for her.
Yeah, like, you do see people walk out of Pod and go to the pyramid. More than a few times I've seen that, but if she chooses not to do that, it could be until she tries to loop in Catfish that we see that check.
Yeah, either that or after finding Mitz trying to loop in a big bomb play with the Ice Palace completion a little bit later, hopefully. We'll see what happens, though, because that Samaria being exactly there kind of disincentivizes runners to want to do Ice Palace. It's doable without a Cane of Samaria, but it's much faster with it.
Yeah, and I do know some runners just swear by avoiding ice as long as possible if they don't have the cane. I don't know if either of these runners are a part of that, but you see it sometimes. Because Icebreaker is just, it makes the full clear of Ice Palace that much faster. Honestly, it just makes the dungeon more fun, too.
Yeah, for sure. The bomb jump is... not only you get to skip that bomb jump, you get to skip a lot of boring rooms after the bomb jump.
And some boring rooms leading up to it as well. Like, it's just a bunch of circling around and a few conveyor belts here and there, and I don't know. It kind of just feels tacked on to me. But we don't have to do this anymore in Rando unless you go without the cane.
Yeah. So far in Palace of Darkness, check 1 key, check 2 key, check 3 key.
Going to find 4 keys in the front, so still at least 1 more to find here.
I think we've actually got a 4. I think it was
4 in the first
Yeah.
4 checks, all 4.
Yeah, shooter for a key.
Okay,
arena. We got some bombs and a big key. I wouldn't be surprised to see Revenant head directly to the boss from here and come back in. But no, Revenant's going to dig in the dungeon a little bit more.
Yeah, going straight to the boss is pretty solid play.
Yeah, Emergency
It's one of
Sailor Nep,
those
she's going to
things.
do it right here.
Yeah, it's kind of a preference thing, I think. I'm not sure either one's particularly faster than the other, especially if you can just hammer jump here and use your small key. Because Nep is, after killing the boss, going to be down a small key. She's not going to have any when she gets back to the bridge. So if she hammer jumps, she'll have to like death warp or save and quit out of the maze. Won't be able to just do the maze in reverse and walk out of it like Revenant's doing. And I think that's a consideration here. But then
Yeah, I think so too.
on the other side, you just do Dark Maze last, you save and quit out of it, and that works as well.
Right, and that tells me that Sailor Nep is not planning on hitting the pyramid after Palace of Darkness.
Which means going to miss out on her Cane of Samaria there. And we'll see how the routing, when it gets her back there, because absolutely going to need it this seed with that Crystal Turtle Rock.
One key in the rupee loop. So Harmless Hub was going to key for a key, I believe. Oh, we had not checked the turtle chest yet, or compass chest. And it is just a 20, so Revenant going to grab this key for a key, head to the boss. Meanwhile, Nep, she's taking on Helmasaur, and this fight, I guess she's not using the spin speed strategies, but this fight has gotten a lot less hectic now that a few months ago people found out you could extend the hitbox of the hammer with spin speed, make this fight a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, when you trigger spin speed there, the hammer hitbox extends so that it matches the full sword hitbox, which just makes it really, really nice. A lot less dangerous, especially in phase 2 where you're trying to hit that gem.
Yeah, we saw Revenant clear out the back. Sailor Nep getting the crystal. It didn't look like there was anything in this dungeon for our runners other than that crystal.
No, like there was a crystal, there was a bottle on the Helmasaur, but we already had one, so that's not that much. Definitely doesn't progress us. And Revenant getting bumped around a bit by the sword beams against these turtles here. Eating a good chunk of his damage before he took that first hit.
Yeah, having sword beams in those dark rooms helps a little bit. Makes it makes you be able to hit the crystal without menuing away from your hammer. But the turtles like to eat sword beams more than they like to eat sword slashes.
Yeah, pretty common strategy to take an intentional hit to the lone turtle in the room after the crystal switch. That way you're guaranteed not to have sword beams in the room with, what is that, 6 turtles afterwards?
Yep. Nice fight from Revenant, switching into the bow to finish off phase 2. Both runners getting out of pod fairly close to one another. Nep is going to head over to Village Outcasts. And yeah, that Cane of Samaria is getting away from her a little bit.
Yep, Chad's talking a lot about the Pyramid Fairy to get Nep back there. And honestly, yeah, like you can't use the Cane of Samaria for anything without the Titan's Mitts, which is the thing keeping Pyramid Fairy out of logic at this point, so it makes some sense. But at the same time, it's just, will she? For now, gonna immediately go turn in the, well, not immediately. This powder was in Eastern Palace, which we got a while ago. But going to turn it in before going back to the Dark World in the village area.
Just some bombs up. We'll see if Revenant chooses to do the same thing. No, Revenant is going to head directly to the Dark World. Makes a little sense. I mean, you get a bunch of check. Oh, nope. Turn it around. I guess he is going to check that powder out.
Yeah, may have forgotten about it for a second, or may have decided he originally planned to wait to rat it with a potential Smith turn in, but then decided he didn't want to. Maybe he doesn't have the mitts, so he can't do that immediately. It's his decision.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some thought into it. I'm sure I'll find either the mitts or the the mirror soon enough. I need them both. Maybe I can loop this powder turn with something else. But Nep is going to go do some reading.
Yeah, with no guarantee of a mirror in hand anytime soon, this is by far the best time to route in this check. But we're not clearing those pendants for that pull today.
Nope, just some couch cash. Little Subway lunch.
Yeah, just move along. Don't even think twice about it.
See if Revenant takes a detour out to read this pedestal as well. This is probably the best time you're going to have to read the pedestal. Yeah, Revenant going to follow suit. Find out there's only couch cash up there, and then head into the dark world. 2 crystals, or 1 crystal over here in Skullwoods, so heading straight for that on Nep's side.
Yeah, unfortunately, Thieves Town being a pendant means that we don't get the quick 2 crystals here. That would bring our total up to 5. But can at least do Skullwoods for 1. Probably going to see them do the front of Thieves Town for a few quick checks. And Nep handling this room pretty well using the fire rod to kill the Gibdos. That's a room where you do quite like having the cane.
Yeah, getting this fairy selected in her inventory. I thought she might go for a death warp. Chooses not to.
Yeah, on 5 hearts with blue mail, you don't need a death warp to refill there. And maybe the timing wasn't good for the Wallmaster there.
She does ditch the fairy. They're going to set up a death warp to pick up the item under the bridge here in the back.
I think that one makes a lot of sense. And you want to do this first if you're going to do it. You could do it second, but you've got to go back and do the front section anyways, so it's going to be a death warp either way. May as well get the refill, as small of one as it's going to be with 5 hearts, before going to the boss.
There's that death warp for Nep. Revenant having a little problems getting the door open in the back of Skull Woods.
Yeah, that is not the most cooperative fire rod I've ever seen.
And to the back, both our runners go. Revenant going to check that bridge chest later. Nice shot there under the pots.
I do want to point out while we're still talking about the bridge chest here that Nep got 5 hearts as the refill, which is the same amount that she left the middle section with. So yeah, when you're on that exact total, then dying for a refill just doesn't do anything for you.
No. And but dying to get out of the back of the bridge area does do a lot for you, as both the runners pulling this hammer out for this Mothula fight. Revenant still having that fairy does get Mothula down without killing or eating that fairy up. Just a compass, but crystal number 4 for both the runners.
That's a good call though on Revenant still having that fairy. Both of these runners found a bottle with a fairy in Kakariko. Nep blew that fairy in Eastern Palace. Revenant still has it. He's going to have to remember to let that go or spend some extra time on the Death Warp after this if he's going to do that.
Yeah, Nep did lose that fairy and then got it back at Waterfall Fairy.
I missed that.
No blue goo or anything onto the waterfall today. Just 20 rupees, our first item out of Skull Woods. So 1 in the front. This is a very slow death warp, so yeah, Revenant's going to walk it out, lose a few more seconds to Sailor Nep.
Yeah,
but all that time could end up being made back up by that Kina Samariat location.
Walking it out here definitely faster than trying to death warp, I think, on 10 hearts. But at the same time, Nep is saving seconds here and there, getting that flute. That actually does not do anything new for us until we get the mitts, but it is very convenient to get around.
Yeah, it'll be a little while before we get to turn that in, unless we find a mirror very soon. But that is both our items out of Skull Woods, and Sailor Nep's going to make her way to the Village of Outcasts area.
Yep. Got the 3 checks right around the Thieves Town dungeon, and then we'll see how deep into the dungeon she goes. First 4 is very popular, especially when the dungeon's just dependent. But depending on how that's laid out, could justify going deeper for items. And Rev needs a second there to realize he does have both items out of Skullwood, so he can be gone. And did you see the items net pulled from Chess Game?
I did not.
Single bomb, single rupee.
Oh, lovely.
Incredibly so.
That's how I feel playing Chess Game for real in vanilla.
Ah, yes, vanilla Chess Game. Made even better by the fact that in the 100% NMG speedrun, it comes immediately after Dig Game.
Hooray. I'm very aware of that. First chest in Thieves Town is our big key.
And big key does have to be in these front 4 chests, so it's not possible to pull all 4 items out of here. But that compass didn't have to be there, and it feels bad that it is. I think Revenant got an even more insulting chess game than Nep did, getting a heart instead of a bomb.
Yeah, those are 2 very special chess game drops.
Yeah, I mean, single rupee being the randomized item there will do that for a lot of chess game pulls, but that's just special.
2 items in the front of Thieves Town. We get a bottle and a red rupee, so Nep choosing to be done with this dungeon for now. We'll leave 2 items behind in the back.
Yeah, pretty average, and this is the popular play to handle Pendant Thieves Town. You get the quick checks out of the front, you leave the slow ones in the back and hope that you don't ever have to do them. And if you do, you just come back way later and it feels bad.
Yeah, not a lot of things left to do, though, so I might have incentivized... I might have chosen to stay in there, I don't know. We'll find out if that ends up burning up later on. She's digging it out right now, though, at the dig game.
Yeah, we see Revenant leave that ferry behind there, so he's taking the Death Warp as well. I'm personally a big fan of aggressively pushing forward in dungeons, not leaving them partway through, even when they're pendants. But neither of these runners doing that.
Yeah. No luck there. We do find the bits on Old Stumpy. Old Stumpy giving us a lot more access to the world, making that flute valuable as well.
Yeah, that opens up Ice Palace for us, which is the other 5-6 crystal alongside Pod. That could be the incentive Nep needs to get to the pyramid to get that Cane of Samaria. And it also does open up both of our medallion dungeons, and the limiting factor there, especially for Revenant, is going to be the fact that we only have Bombos, so may not even be able to get through the doors.
And Nep taking these mitts, going back in, grabbing a companion. Can take a look at the hammer pegs. What she's finding in here, she's getting a piece of heart. Gonna save and quit. Bring the smith back home and turn that flute in. Revenant not even bothering to rescue a frog. Gonna just save and quit here.
Yeah, I think he's got Mire or Dark Mountain on the mind after turning on that flute. But could be Ice Palace as well, actually, because he's got Cane in hand. He's got every incentive to rush right there, actually, and that completely slipped my mind for a sec.
Yep. Sailor Nep, she checks out King's Tomb, only finds a piece of heart.
And actually, chat's raising a good point. We need Mirror and Ice Rod, and that could be go mode, depending on what medallion opens up Turtle Rock.
Yep.
So we could have those potentially very quickly, depending on where that Ice Rod is. Mirror a bit more limited since it blocks Swamp Palace, but Ice Rod could be pretty much anywhere still. Oh boy, there's the ice rod.
That's a nice find. That shovel was in Spiral Cave. That is off the radar for Revenant right now.
Yeah, if you want to see Revenant get to that as quick as possible, you want to see him go to Dark Death Mountain as soon as possible, and not be able to get into Turtle Rock.
But also have the hammer or have the mirror, because it's very unlikely you're going to just
Well,
check Spiral Cave before dipping in for the 6 items on the dark side.
well, you do Spiral Cave, and then you jump right back down from there to the portal on the south. Regardless, that one pull does put Nep in a very, very good position for this race, even missing that Cane of Samaria that Revenant has.
Yeah, because there's not a lot for Sailor Nep to do that makes a ton of sense other than to go to Ice Palace. It's in logic. It's fully clearable. It's a 5/6 crystal. You've already got the other one.
And doing that to get to the Super Bomb pulls you right to the location of your progression item. You do have Nep here just peeking the desert ledge and then fluting immediately back to go to the mire area.
Yeah, the two checks on Mire Shed are very, very isolated right now, and I know I personally have been burned in tournament races by seeing a mirror here.
Yeah,
Bombos getting pulled out. It looks like Bombos is the medallion for Mire, or no? Ethan looks like. There's a tempered sword, so that's a nice sword advantage going into Ice Palace.
yeah, Tempered Sword, very, very convenient to have. Just it does so much more damage than the Master Sword against pretty much everything. And you can do the comfort strats from the NMG speedrun with it, as opposed to Master Sword just doesn't work for most of them. It just doesn't do enough damage.
And interestingly, Sailor Nep's choosing to peek at Death Mountain here. Going to take a look at what her requirement is for Turtle Rock, get these 6 items. Perhaps do Spike Cave.
And I gotta think this is a side effect of not having the Cane of Samaria. Just wants to knock out these not terribly slow checks. 6 checks plus the medallion knowledge is relatively dense here. It just feels kind of bad. Like, even if Bombos opens up Turtle Rock, Nep can open the front door but can't actually go into the dungeon without that cane.
It is Quake, so shout out to Vanilla Medallions today.
Now that could be really interesting if that Quake is in a terrible location. Just because that gives Revenant a chance to equalize that terrible Ice Rod.
I don't think we've seen anything of note in Ice Palace for Revenant so far. Hookshot Cave having nothing of note.
Nah, Blue Boomerang's totally noteworthy. What are you talking about? Nah, but yeah, you're right.
The first boomerang is a nice to have. Whether it be
You can
red
do
or
some.
blue.
You can do some strats with them. That's about it.
Can't get away from a shield on Dark Death Mountain, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we see on Revenant's side, use Bombos to open up Cold Stare just to have some magic to use the Fire Rod, but only had about half a bar, so already out here, and we're just seeing Master Sword not doing that much work. He's going back to the Fire Rod, burning his green potion just to have some additional safety in this fight, end it as quickly as possible.
That makes a lot of sense. You've got a flute, you've got a ton of cash, you've already done Zora. It's not going to hurt you to use your potion here. It's much better than dying.
Absolutely is. It just showcases how much weaker the Master Sword is than the Tempered Sword here. Because a lot of runners very, very comfortable getting Cold Stare in the corner and using spin attacks with the Tempered Sword. Not so with the Master Sword.
Now let's get to the fight, though. That is 5 crystals for Revenant already at 50 minutes. Sailor Nep sitting at 4. 5. She's finally hitting up the dam that Revenant saw much earlier. See if she takes this over to Agina.
I'm kind of curious now, just... Is Nep really wanting the Samaria that badly before going to Ice Palace? Looks like deciding Agina might be... Yeah, getting the potions here. Agina might just be a tad too slow. Trying to look for that Samaria last ditch before going into Ice for Nep.
Just a piece of heart in Agina as Revenant shows us the way there. Let's see where Nep heads to. I assume this is Ice Palace if she's picking up a couple potions. Yep. So she's going to hop on Ice Palace and do some bomb jumping.
Meanwhile, I was thinking for a sec that Revenant might go into Desert Palace, but no.
It looked like he thought about it for a second before heading over to Agina.
Yeah, and then again a second after coming out before deciding he wanted to get the Meyer checks instead.
Stellar is starting to look a little bit spooky. We've had full access to it for about, what, 30 minutes now?
Yeah, ever since we found that book on our first mountain trip, which was, yeah, not very long in. 25 or so minutes at most. And just to recap for chat who may not have seen everything leading up to this, Revenant got a Cane of Samaria off the Pyramid Ledge before going to Palace of Darkness that Nep skipped. Meanwhile, when both runners were on the mountain earlier doing Tower of Hera and the Light World checks, they had the choice between Spiral Cave and Spike Cave. Revenant chose Spike Cave for junk. Nep chose Spiral Cave for a shovel that turned into the Ice Rod. And we do see Revenant going up here, almost certain to do Spiral Cave before going to the Dark World for the Dark Mountain checks. But then when's he going to turn in that fetch quest to get his Ice Rod?
The good news, the very good news for Revenant here is he can't hop into Turtle Rock. That Quake Medallion being the requirement for Turtle Rock, kind of a blessing here for him.
Yeah, definitely prevents any possibility of him dipping this dungeon for, at worst, a rabbit hole, at best, nothing.
But he did not go into Spiral Cave. He went directly to the Dark World.
Yeah,
So Spiral Cave is now fully isolated.
Yes, very, very orphaned. Very, very rough situation for Revenant here, since he's not going to pull a mirror off the mountain here. Meanwhile, we see Nepside just working through Ice Palace. There wasn't anything of real value in here. But no Cane of Samaria for Icebreaker means that she's got to do all this looping and circling around in relatively slow ways, where Revenant was able to do it in a fairly linear fashion.
Yeah, Revenant did have the routing advantage in this dungeon, but as we mentioned before, in Nep, she's got that Tempered Sword. It's going to have a much better time with the boss.
Yep, between that and the extra potions in hand, you expect Cold Stare to be no trouble for Nep once she gets down there.
You could say it'll be a pretty chill fight.
Heh. Looks like Revenant now is choosing Desert Palace. This is going to be a 3-item play in total with that green pendant. Compare that to 2 items left in the back of Thieves Town, and maybe 1 or 2 miscellaneous items elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, I think this is actually it. We just have the 3 items from Desert, the 2 there, and the green pendant turn in, and then the 2 items in the back of Thieves Town. I think everything else has been checked between both our runners.
We have not yet seen Pyramid Fairy. That's another 2 items.
Ah, correct.
And I expect that to be Nep's next play, once she's done with Cold Stare here.
Desert with a small key on the torch, so it's a very unfavorable layout for our runners. With no mirror, you have to run all the way over to one side and then all the way over back again.
I love the vanilla game though, and this is just recreating that, right down to both keys being in their vanilla spots. Cold Stare time for Nep after just another 2 rooms here. This one, next one, Cold Stare fight. You can see on about a quarter to a third of the magic bar there. Been pretty loose with it, knowing A, bombos to open the shell, and B, potions in hand. Has not been a concern at all for Nep in this dungeon. And what was in the middle chest of desert? I suddenly am blanking on it. Was it the map or an item? I assume it was the map if he's checking the big chest there.
Yeah, I don't think he's found both items yet.
Yeah, there was the red boomerang on the right side, and then Lambos has the other one.
Yeah, Nep cracking one of her potions. Gonna use some fire rods aggressively. Backs one of the puffs into a corner, gets through this fight. Pick up her 5th crystal.
Yeah, I was talking up the Tempered Sword a lot for this fight, but Fire Rod's even better than that. It does Gold Sword tier damage to the puffs.
Yeah, and she let the puffs get separated a little bit. A little mistiming on that spin, so...
Yeah, cornered strats are the best if you execute them properly, but if you mistime your spin, then that's all there is to it.
Either way, though, she recovered very well and cleared that fight out. So once again, we are 5 crystals apiece. And tell her up, she's heading to go get that big bomb. We'll see what's the Pyramid Fairy, and she'll get her King of Samaria.
Yep, so we're looking at an item on this boss that Revenant's about to kill, plus the green pendant turn in, and 2 items in the Pyramid Fairy that Nep is on her way to. And we're gonna find progression between them, almost certainly. Although at this point, the only progression we really need is the Mirror and Quake. So, not very much to be found.
That's just some firewood in desert. Desert, not the answer, but there is a green pendant still to pay off there.
Yep, gotta withhold judgment until we see that, but it's not looking good.
It's going to be an Ice Rod Cave check for Revenant. Revenant did skip this earlier.
Yeah, and Flute plus Boots means you can come back to this pretty much whenever you want. It's never a great check, but this makes it at least not completely awful.
Chat reminding us there's one other location neither of our runners have checked out that is, and there's a mirror and some bombs. So that is Swamp Palace, plus a bunch of other checks.
So that location you were talking about, going to get put off just a little while longer while we follow that mirror.
Yeah, but, chat bringing up Catfish, which is pretty hard isolated for both runners at this point. It's a little less isolated for Nep now, but she's going to have a lot of other things to do before making that North Dark World loop.
I see. Nep making liars out of both of us. And taking, well, okay, no, not taking it to Catfish. Well, no. Taking it to Graveyard Ledge, then going to go back to Catfish.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it works that way because you can save and quit out of Catfish rather than having to walk back, so this is faster.
Oh, it does make sense. And really no real good time to do these otherwise, so...
Yep, Nep's already done Skullwoods, already done King's Tomb. There's really nothing to route this in with. Looks like this is going to be Revenant's trip to the Pyramid Fairy. Nep not going to catfish, so leaving that behind and making not liars out of us after we called ourselves, or I called us liars.
Well, we're all liars sometimes. It's fine. So I'm gonna make her way to Swamp Palace. Might check Bombo's tablet beforehand.
Probably going to. Nope. I was thinking check it afterwards, just in case she found Quake and Swamp. You could just skip it. Then if you find it here on the tablet, then you can just go mode Swamp and not have to worry about anything.
That's another fetch quest. That's a mushroom.
Going back to the Dark World though, so not going to immediately turn that in. Well, I say that. Could mirror right in front of the Swamp Palace, the dam entry, and then flute to 2, turn it in, and then flute right back to 7.
That is what she's gonna do.
I'm not a liar this time. I actually understand this game. And yep, for more people just filtering in here as we cross the hour mark on this race. These runners went to Death Mountain fairly early in this race, didn't have the mitts, but they did have access to do Tower of Hera, and they had to choose between Spiral Cave and Spike Cave. Sailor Nep chose Spiral Cave, got the shovel, dug up an ice rod a bit later. Revenant chose Spike Cave, and still does not have his shovel, and his very, very hard isolated Spiral Cave.
Both the runners are going to be entering Swamp Palace at about the same time. Both of them have fetch quests in hand that still need to be completed. But the big difference, like you said, is that ice rod right now.
Yep, and that ice rod means that Sailor Nep is just looking for Quake for go mode. While Revenant, even if we find Quake here in Swamp Palace, is going to be on an ice rod hunt that we know is in a particularly nasty location given what he skipped so far. And yeah, chat's kind of mentioning that there's really not a good Quake location for Revenant here.
No, there really isn't. Like, the best possible location would be back of Turtle Rock, or back of Thieves Town. Like, of all the places it can be. I don't know. I don't know a good place that Quake can be that can drive Revenant. Because Revenant still has to make another Turtle Rock climb, or a Death Mountain climb. No matter what. Has to make a blank Death Mountain climb.
He has to make 2 more. One to go to Spiral Cave to get that shovel, and then another one for Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower.
Yep. Yeah, so he's got one blank climb that he has to do to get that shovel.
And it just, he has no idea of that because he's got everything else besides Misery Mire open to him at this point, which admittedly we're starting to draw down to the point where that's not very much, but he's still going to do pretty much all of that before going back to Spiral Cave that he's already skipped twice. But hey, on Nep's side, just running through the dungeon, Revenant doing left side actually here. Could find something interesting here.
With 2 items to find, it makes a lot of sense for Remnant to dig out left side here. Nep's going to head straight to the back looking for 1 item.
Yeah, and I really like the left side first play when you've got multiple items you're still looking for, just because it is faster to do it with Diver Down than to come back in.
Yeah, especially when there's just so few locations left, as that block is not close enough to the edge of the ledge. A second time works for Nep. She picks up a single arrow and a piece of heart.
Yeah, the only potential problem with the left side first play is if there's the potential for map compass to be over here, and then it just feels really bad.
Yeah, or there's a big key on the boss situation where you're going to have to come back in anyways. But doesn't look like anything of value on left side.
Well, big key was the first chest left side, so let's hold judgment for a few seconds here.
Fair enough.
It's kind of the same story as holding Judgment on Spiral Cave when Nep pulled that shovel, except not nearly as likely to be anything decent.
Wow, it's interesting that Rev chose left side over even the compass loop.
Nah, if you know you're doing left side first, then you do left side, like you get the key, then you go up above the big chest and over to the door that way. And that's just less walking, and you do compass loop after.
That makes sense. And just a compass in the big chest, so rip to left side truthers.
Yeah, and I did not see what Cold Stare dropped, but it doesn't seem to have been Quake, so Nep's got 6 crystals, but still hunting for that medallion.
Yep, gonna head over to K45, take a look at that location. Still has a purple chest in this area.
Yep, got Purple Chest, got Catfish, got Checkerboard Cave, and I don't think there's really much else.
There's half magic in K45. That's a very nice thing to have. Not progression, not required, but it's going to make things feel a lot safer in that Ganon Tower climb.
It looks like Checkerboard Cave gonna be the next play for Nep here. Not running up to that Purple Chest yet.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get to the purple chest, and following the mirror does make a lot of sense when you don't find anything in Swamp.
Actually, Nep still has Desert to do, so can just backdoor that with the mirror as well.
Yep.
And actually, that's going to be so much nicer of a clear than Revenant had with the keys in their vanilla locations.
Yeah, mirror's going to pay big dividends. Just a big 20 on Argus.
Revenant did have a very nice Argus fight there, though.
Yeah, I got him trapped in the corner with those fire rod shots. 2 shots, 1 spin does it in. Picking up his 6th crystal. We're 6 crystals apiece. And the hunt is on.
Yep, Nep is skipping the Desert Palace dungeon itself, though, so where to?
This might be Thieves Town? Purple chest? Nope. This is...
nope. Save and quit out of Agena just to flute back to the desert. This might be faster, actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you got to flute back anyways, unless you save your portal outside of Agena.
Yeah, and Nep did not do that. Just jumped off of the checkerboard cave ledge.
So things we have left, we have Green Pendant turn in. We've got back at Thieves Town for 2 items. We've got the Green Pendant turn in. And Purple Chest. And Catfish.
Yes. I believe those 4 locations for 5 items is pretty much it.
Revenant about to get half magic for himself.
Yeah, and chat saying we find Ether next, and then that just means Quakes and Mire. Easy game, easy life. No, Revenant skipped the Smith chain entirely here, so going to just knock the entire thing out real quick with the mirror.
Might see him hop back into Thieves Town as well before grabbing that purple chest.
I doubt it. I think he'd be more likely to flute back and just use the Dark World portal he leaves behind.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
But regardless, this is probably Revenant's best opportunity to go into the back of Thieves Town if he wants to. Now, we do know, unfortunately, that both the Landmo boss that Nep is coming up on and the Smith turn-in itself are both nothing. But the good stuff comes next.
No
So
purple chest grab. Just abs. This is this is straight into Thieves Town.
I'm a little surprised here, but you were right earlier. Oh no, he's
Or
going
no?
up to Graveyard Ledge and then walking back.
Or Catfish. Great Early Catfish. I don't think he's done King's Tomb either. Also going to take a look at Bumper Ledge, which seems a little
Yeah.
speculative with no cape yet. Although if this is Quake, this is probably the best possible location for him, but no, it's just 50 rupees.
I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't bring the purple chest with him at all on all this. It would mean he couldn't dash, but he wouldn't have to run all the way back for it either. So I think, does he just intend to leave it behind and not get it on this set of checks?
I'm not sure at this point. Sailor Nep getting her green pendant. We'll see if she goes to turn that in. Revenant's had his green pendant for, what, 20 minutes now? Maybe 30 minutes.
Not quite that long, I don't think, but yeah, he's had it for a while.
Nep, she's sick of seeing the thing already. She's going to go see what it's worth. It's Quake.
Nep's in go mode.
Nep is in go mode at 1 hour, 11 minutes, 15 seconds. Sailor Nep has gotten herself into go mode. One Cristola dungeon left to do, that's Turtle Rock. And then Ganon's Tower to climb.
It just feels kind of bad for Revenant. Like you said, he could have had that 20 minutes ago if he wanted to, but he just kept putting off turning in after clearing out the pendant dungeon for it.
It wouldn't have helped him, unfortunately. I don't think. It would have just caused him to double dip all of Turtle Rock, I think.
Probably, but it at least would have, when he finished dipping it, dumped him right outside Spiral Cave? Question mark, maybe?
If he had it before the mirror, maybe. Because that green pendant was available before the mirror. If he doesn't have the mirror and doesn't dip out to look at Mimic Cave, I would think once you look at Mimic Cave, you're kind of losing Spiral again.
That's true, yeah. I guess you could mirror at the safety door and then loop through Paradox Cave for it would have been the best bet.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to pick it up at that point.
For now, though, with him leaving that Dark World portal where it was, yeah, this is Thieves Town for Revenant. Still 2 items to be found in the back. Hoping that he doesn't find Ether, just because we now know that is a rabbit hole that cannot possibly lead to anything good.
No, this is going to end up being a full clear for Revenant, it looks like.
Right, it's just, if that full clear happens to involve him finding Ether, then he can get into Mire as well, which we know is also empty. Meanwhile, big key, small key for Nep on the fire-locked side of Turtle Rock, and is going to the left now. Gonna get that one chest and then loop it up to chain jumps.
Yeah, this is a little bit faster than the starting here, going back up to fire-locked room and then coming back.
Yeah, it's marginal, but it is faster.
Map upstairs for Revenant. Still 2 items to find.
Yeah, no small key in hand means that it's either in the cell or it is self-locked, which we knew that when it didn't show up in the front either. Key can never be in the Thieves Town attic, otherwise you'd have the possibility of locking yourself.
Chain Chomp's getting a little messy for Nep. She busts out that Burna to get through there.
Yep. Now what I presume is going to happen here is that Nep is going to skip the lava chests, which there's no reason to ever check when you're in go mode, unless it's the big key, the vanilla big key. And also going to skip the big chest. Now, as long as there's one of those chests is not a small key, that's totally fine. Problem is, if both of them happen to be small keys, then Nep's going to get locked and have to backtrack to the big chest to be able to get to the boss.
Yeah, the odds of that happening are pretty low, though. It's like, I think it's like 3% of seeds have that, but something statistically significant, but not particularly likely.
Yep. Just when it does happen, it feels really bad, and you feel like, oh crap, if my opponent didn't do that, like if they came to throw rock not in go mode somehow, then they'd just be gaining like minutes.
No small key found for Revenant, so big chest locking itself. No extra goodies for Nep so far, and this has not found that extra key yet. We find a green 20 for Revenant, so that's where our boots were placed at.
Or would have been the boots if under normal placements, yeah.
Now Revenant's going to go grab that purple chest.
And then he can just mirror flute, turn it in.
And first chest key for Sailor Neps. She's not going to get locked out here on Laser Bridge. Going to head on to Trinex. So really the last potential time costing hurdle.
Yeah. There is still how Nep chooses to route Ganon's tower. But honestly, that's kind of just a crapshoot. You do your route and it's right or it's not right.
So end up getting in behind Trinex, getting this pretty quick kill. Does miss that fire rod shot. Is going to get at least one attack from the center head.
Yep. And then double spin there and slash on the head, and that is phase 2 done rather quickly. And Revenant now going to be turning in his green pendant finally. And Nep getting the silver arrows off Trinex, so absolutely no missing those this seed.
Yep, and chat is throwing a bunch of numbers into chat. I know that the link to the past randomizer community does love their numbers, but we're going to get some guessing going on, I guess.
Yeah, these particular numbers correspond to chests in the Ganon's Tower basement, of which there are 22, and one of them contains a big key. Now Revenant has his Quake Medallion, but he is not yet in go mode. Still needs to get that ice rod off of the shovel, which is in Spiral Cave.
Alright, thanks for your guesses, everyone. Whoever gets it right will get bragging rights. We don't have a leaderboard for this right now, but enjoy your bragging rights and the ability to shove it in the face of your friends and colleagues.
Yep. And then know that next seed it'll be a totally different check and you won't have your bragging rights anymore. So sorry.
Exactly. So I don't think, I think Sailor Nep's doing the, what's considered the Dark Magician route, the Stalfos room into right side, so we're through 5 checks, no big key as of yet.
Yep, you skip Hope Room in that route, you get at least one key between the Torch and Stalfos Room, and then you come over to Hope Room and you take your key that you're guaranteed to have, and you go through this door to get to the Compass Room after a couple extra rooms.
And Revenant going to head into Charter Rock, and we'll see what all is in there.
Yeah, aside from the silver arrows, we didn't see anything of real note, but we also did not see 3 chests on Laser Bridge. So there is the potential for something like Ether to be there, for better or worse.
Checks 8 through 11 for Sailor Nut, just a compass, heart container, and some other assorted dreck. So back over to the left side, going to take a look at map room, fire snakes, and then the rest of the back, the left side.
Yeah, that so-called randomizer room that's just completely junk in vanilla.
Check 12, just a piece of heart.
Check 13 has a couple of extra rooms before we actually get there.
And it is check 13 today.
Yep. So shoutouts to whoever said 13.
It looks like Fusoya 2 will get all of those valuable bragging rights. Value of those bragging rights to be determined by your friends and or colleagues.
Yep, and from here on, it's just play the game for NEP. There is no real rando left. It's same tower climb that we've done a bunch of times and is always a little bit tricky every time.
Yep. Down to execution at this point for Sailor Nep, and I don't know, from her seat, I don't know how far ahead or behind you think you are, because you're pretty late to that Kina Samaria. You're pretty late to that Quake Medallion. She can't be feeling like she's as far ahead as she actually is.
Probably not. But at the same time, the only real loss she had from getting that cane late was having to Ice Palace bomb jump instead of Icebreaker, which is not that long, maybe like a minute. And didn't really gain anything by, or lose anything by getting Quake when she did either. Like, you get that earlier and you don't gain anything from it. In fact, if you get it really any earlier than you did, you run the risk of not having the mirror to backdoor the dungeon and have to do it the slow way that Revenant did.
Yeah, so it's like I don't think she feels like she's panicked or behind at this point. I just don't know how far ahead she thinks she is here. As it turns out, she is several Ganon falls ahead.
Yes. Just because, unfortunate for Revenant, we know what he's looking for is quite close to where he is physically, but just different cave.
Mimic Cave having the Sanctuary Heart for Revenant. I'm gonna feel really bad for Rev if Ether's on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, but Revenant's in Spiral Cave right now.
Oh yeah, but it's gonna find the shovel. But if Ether's on Laser Bridge, then oh, did he just bail out of?
Yeah, he did Mimic Cave and then he just bailed.
Interesting. Well, you gotta check that shovel before you go back into Turtle Rock, that's for sure. I was gonna do that, and it's gonna find this ice rod, and it's gonna be a little upset.
Maybe slightly. But regardless, that will put Revenant into go mode just as Sailor Nep starts the Agatu fight here.
Nice, nice twofer to start this fight off for Nep. Agam being a little cooperative with his location, but throwing out a blue ball instead of a projectile is going to only get one shot in on that cycle. 2 there.
Yep, so we're looking at 4 cycles here, which not completely terrible. Pretty solid,
that's
actually.
perfectly acceptable. Like, I would kill the 4-cycle Aghanim 2 every time.
Yeah, it's basically 2 is perfect, but RNG almost always says you can't have it, whether it be through the position of the clones or through a blue ball. And then 3 is generally ideal, considering you can't ever count on getting 2. And then 4, you're not going to lose any sleep over that.
Yeah, after 4, it starts to look like my runs. So you don't want to have your speed runs look like my speed runs. That's for sure. Ganon thinks he's staying alive. I doubt it.
Yeah, Nep getting a Trident spin there and then just slashing Ganon a lot. 1 cycle phase 1, 1 cycle phase 2 here. If that wasn't 12 slashes, then I don't even know, but it was all good.
Yeah, she's really showing her NMG experience with this tempered sword fight.
Yep. 1 more slash, and then Ganon will complain that we found the silvers that we could not have possibly missed this seed.
If it's your true weakness, Ganon, you should probably put it somewhere a little harder to find.
Yep. And missing the torch glitch there, but intentionally and delaying that lighting so that she can get a double. And then putting the last arrow into Ganon. And that's going to be it.
Let's get those GGs ready in chat. And there it is. Sailor Nep getting the win. Racetime.gg giving us an official time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, 49 seconds. GG's to Sailor Nep. That's 2 wins for the Titans Myths in this best of 5 series.
Yep, that puts this series at match point for the Titans Myths, and we actually have game 3 tonight. That's going to be in about 2 hours and 40 minutes. We'll have Relkin versus Werfjig, and I believe that's going to be cross keys.
That is going to be cross keys. Starting at 10:10 Eastern, and joining us in the booth right now, Sailor Nep. Sailor Nep, congratulations. GG's on the race.
Thanks. I want to say GG to whoever not here first before anything else. What an interesting seed that was.
Yeah, we do have Revenant just killed Trinex, and then I believe forfeited the race pretty much very shortly after this crystal cutscene finishes. So that will be a conclusion to the race here in just a second. But yes, GG's, Nep, and congratulations going up 2-0 in the best of 5.
It's definitely a good feeling, for sure. But all of this really could have gone either way up to this point. There's still potentially 3 more races to go, so we'll see. I'm going to be excited to watch the next one tonight.
Yeah, and we do have Revenant in here with us as well. GG to you.
GG.
GG.
Yeah, I was just a little too late getting to stuff. Pyramid Fairy, Green Pendant.
Yeah, and then it kind of unfortunately took the wrong end of a 50-50 relatively early in the seed.
Yeah, with Spiral and Spike Cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so used to not having Spiral Cave and Logic by that point that I didn't even think about it. I just ran over to Spiral. And then about 5-10 minutes later or something, I think I was in the middle of pod when I thought about it. I realized I can check Spike Cave too. Then I put off the shovel for a long time. It was a good thing that I found the mid spot, and I did, and had the flute to activate, because that made me actually go deal with that. If I'd forgotten, that would have been disaster.
Yeah, I checked Spiral at halfway through Total Rock, got the shovel, fluted over, then fluted back to, since I saved my warp. But it's too little, too late.
Yeah, but being able to save your warp there was really solid heads up, and being able to get right back into the dungeon halfway through. I like that.
It's not often you get to see that one. For me, I would say the thing that was hardest to cope with was finishing Ice Palace and just finding the cane on the pyramid ledge right after. I may have said a 7-letter 2-word phrase to my game at that moment.
I got Red Cane pretty early.
Yeah, like Red Cane was kind of that versus Ice Rod was what we were seeing as the big difference early on. Because Revenant, you went to Pyramid before going to Pod, but then things just kind of went from there. Kind of expected Nep not to see that cane until after Pyramid Fairy, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, so that felt a little bad. And then after getting Quake, I wasn't really sure how to feel, because this felt like the kind of seed where, you know, you're thinking the book might be logically important, that the flute shows up too. You could end up deciding to just pop into Desert at any point, so like, I don't know, are those mirror checks too much? The Ice Palace play? I couldn't really feel out whether I felt ahead or behind, so I was like, don't think about it, just play and finish.
Yeah, it turned out that the green pendant, the dead green pendant was available forever, and the Samaria being the one thing that was missing from you for most of the seed really didn't matter that much because it didn't do much. But yeah, it was very well executed on both fronts. Just that 150-50 decision at the start of the seed that kind of tilted things in your favor, Nep.
It's just how it can be sometimes. I don't know, if I'd thought about the Kane in the Dark World setup, I might have made the same call. It's just never easy when you have both accessible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Well, in any case, I'm gonna step off here, but thanks so much for having me.
Yep, and thank you Revenant as well for putting on the race, because we wouldn't have anything to broadcast without you guys.
Alright, once again, Revenant, GG. I'll catch you all later. Bye.
Revenant, do you have any more thoughts about this seed, or anything else to add before we get your teammates coming up here in a couple hours? We got one race in between, but more racing in this matchup later tonight.
And kind of on Warp Jake's shoulders at this point.
Yeah, it certainly is.
So I guess on that note, we've kind of alluded to it already. We do have a match starting on this channel in about 25 minutes. That's going to be Futon of Pug Trio Futon of Team Pug Trio versus Big Dunka of Error 216. And then about 2 hours after that, after the conclusion of that race, we will have Game 3 of this series, Relkin versus Werfjig. So stick around. Don't change channel. We got a lot of rando still coming up. But I do think that will be pretty much it for us. James, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, that will do it for us. We're joining, like I said, stay here. We'll have another race starting at 8:10 Eastern. Booth is all lined up for that, so chill out. Have some fun. We got a lot of rando tonight for you. So until next time, I'm James FNX for Reg. This has been Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 4.